Welcome to your Joyful Riches podcast, where you gain precious tips for easily ignite your full spectrum wealthy life. Join us every Saturday at 9 a.m. Pacific with your friends and family because we all want and deserve to be wealthy and happy. This podcast is powered by Anchor FM by Spotify. Anchor FM is this super awesome free podcast platform made easy. And today we are so honored and so thrilled to have Andrea with us. I met Andrea couple years back, I would say, as we both learned from the amazing Mr. Les Brown, and Andrea is one of Mr. Les Brown's star top students. So it's such an honor to have Andrea in here. Thank you so much, Andrea Masons, for joining us. Would you mind tell us what is it that you do?
Absolutely. Thank you for having me, Bridget. Yes, I help people achieve personal freedom through the healing power of forgiveness as a personal accountability coach.
Oh, wow. That's really powerful. And that's not, I think that's not the most common occupation. So what brought you into that? How do you get into that?
I'm so glad you asked. Yes. So as people say, life isn't all sunshines and rainbows, right? So I was born in the war-torn drug zone era at its prime during the cartel in Colombia, South America. My parents had to make the ultimate sacrifice to put me up for adoption, for they were unable to care for themselves, let alone me. So they sent me to the promised lands, weighing in at 11 pounds, only at 11 months old. Imagine that. That's a pound per month. I came to the Americas with unconditional love, health, wealth, into a loving family. They saw me as their treasure, while down the road, it was a tragedy. See, I don't have any records, medical records, photographs of my biological family. All I know is the saving grace that they gave me a second chance at life. And as I went through school, I had to work 10 times harder just to get by, just to fit in, for I didn't look like my American family. I had different traits and different qualities and characteristics, but it's those differences that make us authentic and make us special. And now, kids can be cruel. So I was the victim most of my life of bullying. And as I evolved to try to make it in the world, I would eat my lunch in bathroom stalls just to avoid toxicity, or to pray that the nurse would send me home to avoid being shoved into lockers, thrown into trash cans. My home was loving. It was safe haven. It was of unconditional love and efforts. And it was at that pivotal moment that I decided I was going to change. I was going to change the face of how people viewed people of differences. We all go through adversities, but it's how we handle them. And being a victim of abuse during my elder, adolescent, and young adults, of abuse, of sexual, physical, mental, spiritual, and emotional abuse, I had to take my losses and turn them into lessons. So I dedicated over 2 decades in the industries of social work and psychology. Social work to understand the diversities and lifestyles, morals, ethics, and values of those all around the world, and to marry that with the science of psychology, why we do what we do and why we don't do what we do. And when I was getting support through my trials and tribulations and kind of pushed by the wayside, told what was going on, what the problem was, but there was no solution. I decided I was going to make that pivotal moment in the industry and be part of the solution as opposed to being part of the problem. Fast forward 2 decades of service, from infantry to geriatric, to the streets, to the institutionals and state facilities of the heinous crimes. I went against the grain. I saw individuals for who they are. I like in the movie, in the Broadway play Les Miserables. To love another person is to see the face of God. I saw them as a daughter, a mother, a father, a son. I put aside the labels, stereotypes, and diagnosis and prognosis that were given, because that's not who they were. And when I would go to see them, I was always called back. And when the world shut down after dedicating my life to those industries and then adding on medical, holistic wellness and motivation, what was I to do now? 2020 for me was a year of clarity. And I look in hindsight, I turned my can'ts into cans, losses into lessons, and I developed and tailored my life transformational journey called Press Play, Plan Life According to You. And when I had done so, that's when I connected with our legendary mentor, the Mr. Les Brown, in October 2020. I took an investment in myself for the very first time. And for me, this was an investment of a lifetime, as I sit proudly, gratefully, humbly, and privileged to be on this platform, having successfully now spoken on every single continent, sharing my mission, my message, my story with the world, so I can be the light in someone's darkness. Someone's listening, someone's watching. Yeah. And I'm here to instill in you, follow your heart and not the herd nor the hurt, for success and happiness are on the other side, living a life of integrity, passion, and forever building a legacy that will outlive me with love.
Oh, wow. That is so amazing. I just, just you to be able to change everything that you have went through. And it would have been so easy for many people to play victim, like you said, and stay a victim, and become bitter. But not only you decide to learn social work and psychology combined to be able to understand and serve, and then to have the courage yet one more time when you say, well, this is not giving the solution, let me go against the grain. And it can be quite scary to do that. And you have the courage to do that and to go against the grain. And so many of us, when the world shut down into 2020, we cave in and we said, oh, there are circumstances, but you just basically take the bull by the horn and you said, well, this is actually another opportunity for me to learn and allow yourself the support from the Mr. Les Brown. And now it is such a great honor to have you here with us today. Thank you so much. And
thank you.
So what is your advice? For some people, they're going through things and they say, yeah, well, that's great that you're able to do all those, but I think, you are strong and I'm not. And I have all these things also happen in my life, and I just don't feel that I can do what you can do because you're special and I'm not. Well, do you have any recommendations for people who are facing through challenges?
Absolutely. And that's how I felt when the world shut down. And I'm rarely on media, but as I was scrolling through, all of a sudden, our mentor's voice came on. Are you going through it or are you growing through it? And that took a toll on me. It really resonated with me. Because if you think about it, Confucius says those who say they can't and those who say they can are both usually right. And my tip to you, when you do something, do it for yourself, not for anyone else. Because when you learn to love yourself, that's when you emulate passion. That's when you emulate confidence, self-assurance, and self-awareness. It's not easy. It's not easy to change. It's not easy to face your past. But if you don't face your past will continue and forever chase your past. And that's why I went into the industry of the healing power of forgiveness. Lewis B. Smead says, having forgiveness is to set a prisoner free, only to realize that the prisoner is you. Somewhere, somehow, we are a name on a therapeutic couch of someone else, whether it's someone we lost, someone we hurt, or someone we loved. I had to shake and rumble up the thoughts and perspectives and the subconscious in my mind. When I have people agreeing with me, now I do three things. I acknowledge, I assess, and I accept. I acknowledge from where it's coming from to see if there's an intention. What's their angle behind it? I assess to see their behaviors, because you can tell me anything. I'll listen, but most importantly, I'll observe. And after you assess, you accept, whether it is valid or invalid. And that's where the tricky part comes in, doctor. Because we can be influenced and impacted and programmed for so many times, we don't even understand what the truth is anymore. Wow. But when we reflect, when we look back to see where we are today, I wouldn't be here today if I didn't go through those tough times. I wouldn't have a story of victory after being fallen a victim. I wouldn't have the power if I didn't have the passion. And I wouldn't at all be successful without sorrow. And I encourage each and every one of you, question your thoughts. Question what is in your way. Put your hand over your heart, look in the mirror, and the truth shall set you free.
Wow, that is so true, and you said it in such a beautiful way, and it's just amazing. There are ways of saying things, and your ways of saying things is just so beautiful and so true as well. And my questions for people who, let's say, they said, okay, and I love, by the way, in case you're listening to this and you're not noticing that key that Andrea just shows us, which is precious, by the way, to help you remember, I'm just going to point this out, that stands for AAA. So you just very easy to remember this. And then this is, as you can see, this is recorded. So go back to this and listen to it one more time, or perhaps three more times if you need to. And the questions I have is for our audience who's listening, and they said, okay, well, you said evaluate, but with everything that's going on out there, how do you know right from wrong? How do you know what really is the truth? And so if everybody's saying different thing, and sometimes we feel like we're being pulled into 10 directions all at once. And what can we do in that? What should we accept? Whose opinion?
Right, absolutely. And I'm glad you brought that up, because there's a few ways to go through that. You've got the cheerleaders who are going to always people please and support you no matter what you do, fear of losing you because you're the light in their life. You've got the naysayers who are either jealous, sad, lonely, and misery loves company. But what you need to do is checks and balances. Weigh the options. What are the statistics, facts, and feelings you have to validate what they're saying? If somebody is supporting you, do you have the evidence and facts to back it up? And find out their intention. If they are weighing you down, distracting you, and pouring misery in you, is that how you want to treat others? Is that how you deserve to be treated? Because what I've learned in the industries of social work and psychology, most of the shortcomings, the vices that we have, is due to limited or lack thereof knowledge. That's all they've been exposed to. That's all that they know. That's how they were treated. So allow yourself to heal. Allow yourself to feel the emotions. And what I like to challenge is a little street smarts. Take that one individual that really pushes your buttons and have a vision of them saying, I told you were going to fail. I told you you couldn't do it. And turn that negativity into fuel to fail forward. Because if you focus on the negativity, as we all know, or those who've studied the law of attraction, you attract what you give what you attract. And what we must be mindful is our mindset. Because when we put limitations on our dreams, we are putting limitations on ourselves. Dreams don't have deadlines. They are determined by drive, dedication, and endurance. It's your choice every single second in the heat of the moment to go left, right, up, down, forward, or backwards. Nobody else is going to steer your life other than you. And that's what makes me stand out as a coach. I don't dictate, I don't lecture. I listen and I learn, all with love. For if I'm leading you, I'm dictating your life. If I'm guiding you, I may put you outside of your comfort zone and you may resist. My analogy as the way I work as a parent or guardian, holding the back of a bicyclist for the first time, making sure that if they fall, they get back up. And I'm walking beside them every single step of the way. No excuses, just results. All done with love.
Oh, that is so beautiful. That is such a beautiful image of somebody, when we are growing, there are moments, even if we are in our 60s, if we're growing, where we're learning to ride that bicycle, this new kind of adventure yet one more time, and to have someone you lead, but to have someone right there and guiding you and helping you kind of stay in balance in lane, and to be there if you fall down, and that you will be able to get back up. That is so beautiful. So how do you mentioned at the beginning that you have a gift for our listener, and I am so honored and so grateful for that. Thank you so much. Tell us what's in that gift.
Absolutely. So, ladies and gentlemen, you can find me at Andrea Mason, your personal accountability coach on YouTube. Subscribe and email me once you have subscribed at am.pressplay@yahoo.com. And I will be more than happy to give you the most precious gift anyone can give you. It's my gift of time. As a token of appreciation, a 30-minute complimentary coaching session. Why? Because I believe in you. And all it takes is just that first step.
That is beautiful. That's beautiful. And we will put the link of your YouTube as well as your websites on the comments. That way it's easy for our audience to reach you. And yes, Andrea's on YouTube and she's on Facebook. She is a she's just as amazing every day. She has been so, I love all the tips that you share, and as well as your thoughts. Sometimes it is tips like this, and sometimes also if you say, oh, wonder what she's thinking, she does address current event. I watched one of your, I think it was a Facebook Live where you address a most recent current event, and
Yes.
how we all can navigate things even better, and not just your opinion, but how we all can navigate things even better. That is so beautiful. And before we parted, as we come to our end here, do you have any final message to our audience? Actually, I do have one question, and it might be part of your message, might not. You mentioned forgiveness a couple times.
Yes.
What about for people who says, yeah, I hear forgiveness is good, but it was such an atrocity that happened to me or to this person that I just don't, there is no way I'm going to forgive, and there's no way I'm going to approve this kind of behavior. What is your advice on that?
Absolutely. If I may, a brief example was a short story that occurred in my life in 2016. I had lost my mother in 2007 in February at the celebration of a milestone of my parents. They were 2 weeks apart. And I kind of didn't forgive myself because we had 70 plus individuals for their celebration. They were the individuals where we have a party, everybody shows up. And my mother wasn't well. I called my dad and said, "Where are you?" And he said, "Oh, Mom's not doing well. We're unable to attend." So I disclosed the nature of a surprise party for their milestone birthday. A few minutes later, my dad wheeled my mom in. Everybody greeted them and surrounded them in a circle and just sharing memories, legacies, stories from their grade school years to the current. Well, who would have thought that evening we were shared with my mother? We were all sitting in their living room talking and just, oh my gosh, did you see so and so, who they're dating, what they look like, just reflecting. And my mom sat down and I sat down on her lap. She's like, "You know what? I may be here today, tomorrow, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, who knows? But these were the cards that I was dealt. I'm not ashamed. I just have to play them out." Well, unbeknownst to me, that following Monday, I'm resting to go to my second shift, and I hear footsteps up the door. Like, what's going on? That's weird. And standing by the door, my husband. And I said, "What are you doing? Why are you home? Please tell me you didn't get fired." And he was like, "No, no, no." I said, "Okay, now you're making me uncomfortable." He stood there like a ghost and said, "She's gone." I couldn't forgive myself. Did I give my mother a repast before she even left and went home to leave this earth? For those of you who don't know, a repast is a celebration after the individual has moved on. I didn't forgive myself. I went to the grave site 2 consecutive years straight, every single day to the graveyard, just to talk to her. Mind you, it was 45 plus minutes one way, every single day. Shut down, weather permitting, you name it. And if I didn't forgive myself, this is what happened. In 2016, I was going to work, and to make a long story short, I had fallen shortness of breath. Went to the hospital, inhaler, went and woke up in the hospital. They said, "You are having difficulty breathing, tests are clear, all is good. You may go home." Get a call the next morning, less than 24 hours. "We've oversought a test that we missed. You need to come to the hospital." I said, "Look, I have school, family to tend to. I doctor's orders." Who's going to argue with the doctor, right? So I go to the doctor's office and I was diagnosed with myasthenia gravis. For those of you who don't know, that's a terminal condition, Graves' disease, of the complete shutdown of the immune system. Next thing I know, I wake up, I'm on the ICU unit, hooked up to machines, unable to breathe, unable to use all quadrants of my limbs, unable to hold food down or be cognizant. What just happened? I ended up staying there over for a week, unable to see our family. And I'll never forget this conversation I had with my husband. Andrea, do you remember the law of attraction? Yes. Now, hindsight is 2020. In 2015, we unplugged from all media platforms, TV, cable, radio. It was our turn to invest and shut up the obstacles and influences of the external world. I said, yes, I remember. Spoiler alert, there's a medical excerpt, but I will never forget this. The late, great Mr. Bob Proctor had taught, disease cannot withstand a positive mind or healthy mind. And it was at that moment I made a declaration to the universe, most importantly to myself. See, pre-existing years, I was diagnosed with osteopenia, fibromyalgia, rheumatoid arthritis, 7 ulcers on my gallbladder, appendectomy, upper respiratory conditions, exercise-induced asthma, carpal tunnel syndrome, you name it.
Yeah.
This was all suppression of stress, lack of forgiveness. And then once I made the declaration, the team came in the next morning. They said, Andrea, if you are unable to hold down food, use quadrants of your limbs and breathe on your own will, your stay is indefinite. Well, mind over matter. I draped my feet over the hospital bed, jumped down because of my petite stature, walked to the nurse's station and back. And to this day, I have been deemed a clean bill and clear bill of health to sit here before you as your global voice.
Wow.
That your mind does matter. It's all about perspective. And one of my friends in a life of adversity said this. They were struggling with a condition that was terminal of their own. We don't get a timestamp of when we expire. That's the only thing we have to do in life that we can't control. Maybe prolong it, but it happens. And this individual, Dr. Nelson Belsajar, has taught me the most amazing word in this English language is impossible. Why? Because I'm possible.
Yeah.
And when you take the pen in your own hands, start writing your own story of a legacy of love that will outlive you.
Wow, that is so amazing. That is your story just give me chill. And wow, that is so amazing. And for you to show our audience that it's more than just one type of adversity really that you have overcome. Yes, there was the childhood thing, but also the loss and health. And so whether the audience, somebody in the audience and someone, perhaps you are fine, but your loved one, as if you're listening to this, your friend who's facing an adversity, whether it is from a past, whether it's a current conditions, perhaps it's seemingly the world or their work life shutting down the way 2020 shut down for us, or it's a health conditions. Please do have them listen to this. Please have them connect with Andrea, because as you can see that she has done it. She has done it. She knows how to change the outcome, the result, and doing it it didn't take you years. It didn't even take you months, which is something that we want to be able to do that, yet we have our result in a prompt manner, right? So
Yes,
thank you
absolutely.
so much.
Mhm.
Thank you so much. That is so beautiful. Is there a
Thank you.
one final one sentence message of encouragement or just message for our audience?
Absolutely. Through the toughest times, miracles are made. Through life's trials and tribulations, triumphs can be won. But as soon as you take that choice in this crazy game of life to press play, plan life according to you, nothing but happiness and success are on the other side because you're worth it. I thank you for listening. I thank you for watching. And it's an honor to be here, Doctor. Thank you so much for having me.
Uh, Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Andrea. It's a great honor to listen to you, to have you here today. Thank you for sharing your tips. And for all of you, my friends who are listening to this, please share one or two, or perhaps I gathered about 10 gold nuggets from just the short time we were with Andrea. Please share them in the comment below. And this way we can continue learning from each other. And thank you for joining us. Please share this podcast with your friends and family so they too can triumph and live a wonderfully rich life in full spectrum. And this is Dr. Burjit Tan, your grief transformation specialist for individual as well as for businesses, founder of the International Childhood Cancer Charity, and the United States country chair for G100 Global Networking All Ladies League. And you, my friend, make it a thriving day, a wonderful day, and I look forward to see you again Saturday next week at 9 a.m. Pacific.